Weiß ich sollte aktuelle Zeit eingeben, aber erstmal hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Stanley. Wie heißt es? Machen wir mal die Original-Uhrzeit. Hinweis: Einstellungen zur Barrierefreiheit können über das Hauptmenü vorgenommen werden. Okay. Dann, wie gesagt, hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Oder zu Ultra Deluxe sage ich jetzt einfach nur noch. Da wir beginnen einfach mal, gucken mal einen kleinen Bildschirm, da hinten sieht man auch immer wieder ein Loop, wo man sieht, was wir wollen. Wir gehen rein, gucken wir mal, was Stanley oder Ultra Deluxe uns zeigen möchte. Never the end is never.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Okay.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay. Hä? Guck mal, ich schau die Taste an und drück eine Taste bei mir und trotzdem was passiert, wenn ich bei mir zur F1 drücke? Nix. Gehen wir mal raus.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Alter, fast von alles. Telefon noch hier, Alter. Das existiert noch hier. Okay, das Game ist ein bisschen älter. Aber trotzdem. Jetzt sind wir beim Meetingraum eigentlich angekommen, mal. Warum, wenn ich hier immer auf X drücke, kommt immer Tastaturgeräusch? Ha. Ha. Hallo, lass mich da rein.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Die linke Tür soll ich nehmen? Und wenn ich die rechte nehmen will?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Okay.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ah ja. Kann ich mir Kaffee machen? Hallo? Kein Kaffee?
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Kann ich auch geradeaus gehen? Ja, kann ich.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ah, wieder die Tür zu hinter uns, okay.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ah.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nein. Ich will nur mal da raus.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Man kann bis dahin fahren, okay. Aber jetzt sind wir halt schon mal, jetzt sind wir hier. Da sind wir letztes Mal runtergefallen. Die Tür ist abgeschlossen. Danger. Everywhere. Okay. Past this point.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Und wenn Stanley durch die blaue Tür will?
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Okay.
Oh, of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion? You know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings? Does that sound good? Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Aha. Aha, 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 aha. Mhm, mhm.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Oh.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Gut, er wird sagen, wie es hier weitergeht. Das erfahrt ihr in der nächsten Folge. Damit sage ich vielen herzlichen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Haut rein. Ciao.